Aww. Oh my god! Wow!
Um, Child. Anyway, so
Hey guys, it's Julie here. Happy New Year. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the phenomenon of the pretty black woman. Why does it piss so many people off when a black woman is getting attention and praises for her looks? Oh my god, why? Why? They always gotta make it something political. Somebody has to be miserable under a post of a black woman just getting praise and attention, and then everybody joins in, and it's just a load of bullshit. Oh my god. So this happens a lot on Black American Twitter, and let's talk about it, okay? Is the word pretty black woman an oxymoron? Because let's be honest, the word beautiful wasn't made to include us. Beautiful, from what we know of the word, spoken in that language. Pretty, beautiful, appealing. It wasn't made to include black people, black women. Oxymoron means placing two contrasting words side by side to create an effect. Like if I were to say, an honest criminal, it raises brows. Same way you could start a whole Twitter war or discourse by saying pretty black woman or feminine black woman, or posting an appreciation thread of that phenomenon. Why? In my video titled You'll Never Be Beautiful, I go into the history of beauty and how it automatically excludes black people. But then I also describe beauty as what is popular and how culture and trends affect or shift beauty, making it expand to include more or contract to exclude more. But keep in mind, from whatever culture, background, or race, there are people always excluded for not meeting the standard of beauty by whatever metrics they use to measure. Meaning, each culture or society has its own ugly people. Also, sidebar, I've not been able to fully watch this video in over a year since I made it, just because I think I'll find it cringe. The pains of being a creator. But I don't know if I will necessarily present many of the arguments here the same way that I would if I were to make that video today, or if I even agree with everything that I said in that video. But that's a topic for another day. Today, let's talk about the issue of why the thought of a beautiful black woman keeps people foaming at the mouth. Beauty is not black. Let's talk about how beauty automatically excludes black people. Scientists believe we measure beauty through how humans have evolved through existence, that we have an inbuilt system that tells us who is beautiful and who is not. But there is also the idea that beauty is purely subjective. It is non-static. Factors like racism, capitalism, culture, trends, etc. play into what we find attractive. When the phrase pretty woman was uttered in the Western society, which by and large affects almost everywhere else because colonization, a willowy woman with pale skin and light-colored eyes is what pops up. Women with flowy hair and slender limbs and pointed nose. Dainty women. She was the epitome of femininity. History also played a part in what is recognized as beauty today. A common history most current societies share is colonization. With colonization came the European beauty standard, which by and large still affects current trends today. For example, the common beauty standard in South Asia is pale porcelain skin. It is desired because it symbolizes luxury. Because historically, lower class Koreans who were working in the rice field under the sun had a darker shade, while the upper class Koreans stayed indoors, which resulted in them generally looking paler. So this distinction became a telltale sign of who was wealthy and poor, and so became a beauty standard. The paler, the better. In modern society, it also grew the wave of rise in bleaching creams and skin lightening products in many African and Asian countries in order to look European. Light was right. But black people bore the brunt of it when it came to looks. we were the farthest from what it looked like to be European. Black women were not even in the quota when the term beauty or femininity was coined, so the term generally excluded us. Our skins were the polar opposite of the standard, our hair textures, our way of life. Yeah, slavery was not fun, from what I gather. It was a really myopic world back then, in case you couldn't tell. I mean, many were still fighting for freedom and to just be. You know, to be considered beautiful or called to the table to be accessed was a luxury we simply couldn't afford. Besides, the freedom of black women considered appealing back then is just another can of worms we're not going to dive into right now. This is just a little backstory. There was a standard within the, dare I say, white community that black women simply could not touch because we simply were not in the building when the standard was made. Heck, we were not even on the continent. Women had to adhere to strict dressing modes that were made law by men, like layering and squeezing themselves into corsets to give up the appearance of what we called snatch waists in today's society. Women were passing out from heat strokes, getting fined for breaking dress code and things like that. It was a really shitty society in general. Imagine all your worth being placed on your looks, and if you dared to not adhere to it, it was, so you've chosen death? Now, because beauty or the lack of it ties in with the dehumanization of people, even though it shouldn't. Like, why are you mad because I'm ugly? Is it you're ugly? Get a life. Anyways, because of that, it took a long time for black people to be able to claim that word. And there came the phrase, black is beautiful, and the movement that it bore. From skin color to hair textures to body types, the very things that set us apart from our white counterparts. We're going to stand in our own right and be our own beautiful. We live in a world where looks matter and always will, as hard of a pill as it is to swallow. People will judge first and treat you differently based on how you look. So can you exactly blame people who clamor to be considered beautiful, who do not want to be erased off of society's definition of beauty? So the fight for acceptance continued. The concept of beauty was expanding to include people that would originally not be considered so. Darker complexioned people, people with frizzy hair, people who were not really thin, people with fuller features. And so, in today's society, as of 2024, what is considered beautiful might have given some people heart attacks back then. In fact, what is considered normal size now in places like America was considered morbidly obese then. Who is conventionally attractive? A person who is conventionally attractive is one whose looks fit into whatever our ever-evolving man-made concept of beauty is. The culture and trend of the geographical location plays greatly into this. You may be considered beautiful in your small village, but then you travel abroad and see that your features are not exactly the beauty standard there. Or certain features may be prized within your communities, then you go out and see that literally no one cares because it's just common for everyone to have that. Now that we have settled that beauty is fickle and non-static, we can see how many black women have now started to be widely considered beautiful in today's society, even though, it's still a struggle in many Western societies. It's amazing how we went from a time when the very concept of being soft and feminine was unattainable for black women in the West due to slavery history, to black women being free to do anything, or not do anything, just at the tiny cost of being picked apart on social media. People love pretty people and love to hate them. Some time ago, this tweet blew up on Twitter, and you won't believe why if you weren't there to witness it. It was a thread that was coined to show this makeup look, called the clean girl aesthetic, on black girls. The clean girl look is a mode of makeup that was popular on TikTok at the time. It's a look that comprises of minimal makeup, neutral clothing colors, and most times slicked back hairs. I had to do a little digging at the time of the outrage to see what all the craziness was about. When I think clean girl now, as in the aesthetic, I think Hailey Bieber or Normani. Obviously, these girls are conventionally attractive. So this Twitter thread showed black women in similar aesthetic because at the time, the trend mostly had white girls as the faces. And that was how the floodgates were opened. And here came the many think pieces on how harmful and unethical and uninclusive the clean girl look was. One of the criticisms I found the dumbest was how the implication of clean girl meant that girls who didn't look like that were dirty. Mind you, there is an aesthetic called the baddie aesthetic on Instagram, which is like the polar opposite of what the clean girl look is. It's bold glam, thick lashes, bust down wigs with plenty of baby hairs, and probably some Fashion Nova feet. Wow, you call yourself baddie just because you look like that? What are you saying? The rest of us that don't look like this are not baddies? This is not inclusive. It's anti-black. Ugh. Black women are not a monolith. How dare you call it baddie? Just because we don't look like that doesn't mean we're not baddies. Huh? I didn't hear any of that though. I did not hear none of that. Because it's an aesthetic. It's a choice. If you want to partake in a trend, it's fine. If not, no one cares. Oh, how come there are no fat girls in this trend? No girls with pimples. They all look white. Whole time, it was a bunch of conventionally attractive brown to dark skinned girls. Like, I'm not saying that bigger girls cannot be conventionally attractive, right? Because if it's not included in the thread, why don't you add pictures of yourself doing that? There were other comments like, oh, what's the clean girl look? They're not doing anything special. They're just laying there with no makeup look. That seems a little anti-black to me. This is suspicious and triggering that you've offended the community. Do you hate black people? Oh my god, the think pieces on how black women who wore little to no makeup were harming black women who liked the full face beat came. I could not believe what I was seeing. And in trying to expose how a makeup trend was anti-black, many of these people spewed anti-blackness. But the clean girl look was the problem, right? I'll tell you this. There is something about a black woman in touch with her roots, proud of who she is, and prioritizing self-care that inspires rage and jealousy in a certain caliber of people. A pretty black girl that doesn't face the stereotypical mold of what a black woman should look like or sound like gets a certain demographic in a tizzy. I've heard too much shit talking about natural hair and self-hate within black people to think that this proposed anti-black discourse come from a genuine place and not just to pick on black women who don't necessarily fit into the mold of what is considered the norm. It brings out such insecurity and anger in some people when these black women are getting praise and attention that they will say just about anything to detract from that. Oh, it's because she's thin. Oh, she talks too white. Oh, she's Eurocentric. Your self-hate makes you lash out at people who look like you and dare to be confident, because the thing about beauty is that it's not just skin deep. It can radiate from the inside out. When you have that inner peace, that confidence, that self-love, you exude a certain type of vibe that people are just attracted to. Also, some people are addicted to always playing the victim. Oh, I can't dare wear my natural hair because my ancestors were enslaved. Oh, I can't wear my natural hair out because nobody will take me serious. Oh, I can't go out without makeup because my nose is big. Contouring your nose to almost look invisible is not anti-black. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. And I'm not judging anyone for how they choose to do their makeup or present themselves, but calling women who are just existing or women who are just following a common trend at the time anti-black is a bit hypocritical coming from someone too scared to wear their own natural hair or face out. The call is most times coming from inside the house.
Stop it. Get some help.
I honestly think that a lot of black people have the crab mentality and they want everyone to be stuck being miserable like them. I think that a lot of this is rooted in insecurity. Some people feel a deep dissatisfaction within themselves. They feel the need to project onto everybody else. Some people carry such trauma from a lifetime of trying to fit in and being told they were never going to, that the idea of someone who looks like them but embraces themselves is preposterous to them. Like I said earlier, there existed a time in history when being beautiful and black simply did not go hand in hand, and some people are still stuck there, unfortunately. We cannot all be beautiful. The existence of a beauty standard implies that not all can or will meet it. What I call casualties of the beauty standards exist in every community, from white to black to Asian. Now, like I said in my previous video, I don't know if we will ever truly know what the pre-colonial standards of beauty was in Africa before a new standard was forced on us. I don't know what was considered beautiful and ugly and by what metrics, or if that was even important. But like I said, I very much doubt it is what we use to judge beauty today. What I mean is, I don't think our ancestors were telling one another that their noses were too big or their skin was too dark to be considered beautiful, because that would mean they were comparing it to a standard, whiteness, that they simply hadn't come in contact with at that time. Beauty today is still heavily influenced by European standards, that's true. Slavery changed a lot of things that may never be undone in people's psyches, and we all still live with the after effects. We have so many people of color who still believe that light is right, and we have many communities with heavy bleaching culture. So now the thing is, when do we stop making black women the scapegoats? In every other culture, there are people considered beautiful and people considered not beautiful. If you feel like your particular set of features are underrepresented, create your own. Represent yourself. Someone that I know that has done this so well and still continues to do so is Winnie Harlow. She's one of the persons that did and still does that for people with vitiligo. It won't be easy, but it's better than being bitter. There is a reason that when it's a black woman that's conventionally attractive many people feel the need to pick her features apart, especially when she is dark-skinned, because beauty was not meant to include black women. And then when it wasn't meant to include dark-skinned women, because like I said, the standard is things that look closer to European beauty standard. And now it does. You guys do not have this same energy for the Beyoncés and Ice Spices and Janaikos. They're your black queens. But then when it's an unambiguous black woman, you have to point out each of her features like you are listing out the brand items on sale while flea shopping. See which one you'd be buying.
Eyes, European. Cheekbones, European. Lips, European. Jawline, definitely not black. Hair, African. Nose, African-ish.
4/6, European feature wins. Ding ding ding. Definitely anti-black to call her pretty. What? You can't praise a pretty dark-skinned woman without people trying to analyze why she's beautiful. Black was not supposed to be beautiful, and now it is, and people cannot wrap their head around the fact without being weird about it. They will say, oh well, she just has features more digestible to white people. Her skin color alone is a defiance to European beauty standards. Let that sink in. We've come a long way to where Anokiai can walk, I don't know if I pronounced the name right, can walk down runways in fashion shows, and Lupita can get all these amazing roles, and people on TikTok will come together to be obsessed with this dark-skinned Disney princess looking girl. But now, are we really ready for honest conversations? Because when it comes down to it, I think the color of one's skin play a bigger impact in how close they are to European beauty standards than their facial features ever will. Yep, I said it. Colorism is far rampant than featureism when it comes to anti-blackness. If it wasn't, more black people would be getting cosmetic surgeries than bleaching their skins. But that's not the case. Even when black women get the money for these procedures, they will likely get a BBL. They don't troop to the surgeons to get their noses smaller or cheekbones higher or whatever else we consider European feature. But bleaching, it's like taking your vitamins in many African countries. I saw a study that shows that Caucasian women get more plastic surgery than other races to fit the beauty standards that they are literally the blueprint of. If being white was all it took to be beautiful in today's world, that would not be the case. I think African women living in Africa rarely even have surgeries to Europeanize their features, but somehow the thought of a beautiful black woman still has people acting feral online. Women in general are under a lot of pressure to look a certain way. So I think what's anti-black is always trying to divert praises or compliments that black women get when it comes to beauty. Can a black woman just be beautiful without saying she looks white? Can we be normal, please? No? Please. The mental gymnastics to tie blackness with ugliness. I think it's pretty ironic how these things play out. When a black woman is light-skinned, she hears things like, "You are only beautiful because you are light," hereby implying that being dark is synonymous to ugly. When a beautiful dark-skinned woman comes along, they say, "Oh, you have European features." Mind you, this is just a quote-unquote intellectual way of saying you're pretty for a black girl. Always giving credit for African beauty to whiteness. So who sounds anti-black now? I think it's also giving unemployed to sit around and start dissecting one's looks. It's giving you're not loved at all. American Twitter was agog the other day with news that Tyler didn't consider herself black but colored because she's clearly mixed or multiracial. But they will see an unambiguous black woman and scoff at her beauty and say it's only because she's white adjacent. They want to claim Tyler, who doesn't want to be claimed, but someone who is purely black, unambiguous, from the motherland is European. Ice Spice is your black queen, but Anokia is a white woman in blackface. Yeah, I would fight to have these people who need to do an ancestry test to know what race they identify as black, but want to have intellectual discourse when it comes to beautiful, unambiguous black women because you feel threatened, and deep down your colorism wants you to have an ambiguous looking person as your representation for blackness. How do people who have some black in them not have their looks dissected and blackness questioned, but a clearly black woman is put under such scrutiny? And black Americans, I don't even want to hear it. Who allowed Rachel Dolezal, or whatever her name was, slap on a kinky wig and some box braids and tell you guys she was black? No, I just want you to think about how you guys allowed a little spray tan, bad looking spray tan for that matter, fool you. She was your epitome. She was the epitome of a black queen at that point. Oh my God. I want you to just think about that. Go stand in the naughty corner and think about what you did. But on a serious note, I think it's really disgusting when people wear their insecurities on their sleeves and then try to project it onto other people. Now, let's zero back to this outrageous tweet that made me even make this video in the first place. Because this is actually a topic I've been meaning to talk about. But this tweet, it did it for me. It tipped the scale and I said, alright, y'all are going to hear what I really think. I found that the person who made this comment literally has a straight wig in their profile picture and is of arguably lighter skin tone than the woman under scrutiny. Not that it matters, you can present or look anyhow you want to, that's your business. But since you are the minister of blackness and the master of telling people that they are European, I was thinking you would represent this said blackness. I went through their media to see that this person also does arts. I guess you could call it art. The interesting thing is these characters that the person is obsessed with drawing are clearly not black. It's just, it really baffles me how people want to sit around and complain about lack of representation and then add to it. Can you imagine how silly I'd look if I always came on here to talk about how 4C hair needs more representation and do all that babbling while rocking palmed hair or consistently wearing wigs that look nothing like my hair? No one is coming to save you, because you would spit in the face of the people who try to. You could have Superman himself barge into your home to try and save you from the burning building you're in, but you would hold a kryptonite to your chest and tell him you can't leave your precious jewel behind. A couple of days ago, someone made a 4C hair appreciation thread on Twitter, and as usual, it was pretty black woman, let's rip them apart. People began to criticize it because apparently the hairs shown on the thread were long or stretched out. Now, I would have creased my brows a bit to consider their critique if they weren't all donning straight wigs in their media. Nary a 4C was seen. You want to see unstretched 4C hair so bad and are willing to shit on the poster who makes an appreciative thread of the hair that is the most underappreciated. Then where are the pictures of you rocking that unstretched 4C hair you want to see so badly in the media? Crickets. Exactly. Putting a black woman under a microscope to pick apart why she's beautiful is not as empowering as you may think. You're not dismantling anti-blackness by punching the wall whenever a black woman is praised for being conventionally attractive. You're not dismantling racism or colorism by telling light-skinned women would be ugly if they were dark-skinned. So resist the urge to tell the next beautiful black woman you see that their face or existence is anti-black. Take yourself out of the victim mindset, because jealousy is always ugly. Stop watering down the word anti-black because you want to throw a tantrum because you're feeling threatened. If you desire representation so bad and can't find it, go out and be it. It would be nice if it was readily available for everyone, but sometimes you need to just do it like Nike. And no one said it would be easy. Anyways, girlies, that's all for the video. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope your skin stays clear and moisturized and your gloss is always popping. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you haven't yet. Also leave a comment to let me know your thoughts. I'll see you in my next one. By the way, guys, many people have been asking me to drop a hair routine video for my 4C hair, and that video is coming up, guys, so watch out. Goodbye.